Here we are. This is going to be shifting functions. This is like 10.3 part 2. So we've learned, to recap, that the equation of a circle, if it's centered at the origin, that's 0, 0. If that's where the center is, it looks like this for an equation. Today, we're going to shift the circle. So the center is not going to necessarily be at 0, 0. When you have a shift, what you're going to see is we'll move or subtract something from the x. That's going to shift it left or right. And then we'll subtract something from the y. That's going to shift it up or down. And when you do this, your center is going to be at HK. And it shouldn't be a surprise that you've seen this, like subtracting off h, so then h is really the opposite of what you see. So if you saw a negative 5 or a minus 5 here, the h would actually be a positive 5. And if you saw a positive, it must have meant that we were subtracting a negative. So if you saw a positive here, h would actually be negative. Now it is the same way for the k. It's also the opposite of the sign that you see here. Now in the past with a lot of our shifts, it hasn't been the opposite. But now it is the opposite for not just the left and right shift, but also the up and down shift. So let's try this. I'll write the general shift function right here. Boy, my writer is not working very well. It's not just me today. So it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals the radius squared. So we want to identify the center, and we also want to identify the radius. So what are we subtracting off here? We're subtracting off a 3. So the center is at positive 3. Whoa. Just a second. It did something really funny. It won't do that again, I don't think. So the center is at, there we go, positive 3 for the x, and the y would be at what is being subtracted off here. Again, just think opposite, but what's being subtracted off, it would have been a negative 3, so k would be a negative 3 here. So the center is at positive 3, negative 3. And then the radius, remember, this is the r squared value, or radius squared. So what does the radius have to be so that when you square it, you get 2? Well, square root it, the radius is 2. So the center is going to show up at 3, negative 3, which is right there. And then you go up 2, right 2, down 2, left 2, and make your circle around it. That's a pretty circle. I grab this shifted function and use that again, as messy as it is. So what are we subtracting off from the x? It's a 3. And what are we subtracting off from the y? Nothing, so it's 0. So the center is at 3, 0. And then from there we find our radius. Well, 4 equals our r squared, so that means square root that, our r equals 2. So go up 2, right 2, down 2, and left 2 from the center, and try to connect those with a smooth circle. How was that? That was really bad. Let me try one more time, see if I can do better. All right. Make sure you can see your coordinates, please. Then we know that you're trying to make a circle out of that. Let's find the center. So what's getting subtracted from x? That is our x value. Well, nothing is getting subtracted from x, so that is a value of 0. 2 is getting subtracted from the y, so our center is at 0, 2. Remember, the radius is the square root of this value, because this is the radius squared, so that's 3. So go up 3, right 3, down 3, and left 3. And circle. What's getting subtracted from x? It's a 3. It's getting subtracted from y, nothing. So the center is at 3, 0. And the radius is 3. The radius is 3. 3, 0. Radius is 3. Here, the center is at 0, 0. And the radius is the square root of this value over here, so it's 3. I didn't draw my coordinates here, and I should do that even if I draw a perfect circle. Which this one, it's not too bad. I got, no, never mind. Who am I kidding? So now we're going to use the information provided to write the standard form equation of each circle. So this again is what's getting subtracted off from the x and the y respectively. So it's going to be x minus 9, sorry, x plus 9. That comes from what's getting subtracted off, a negative 9. So you chop it. Squared plus x plus 1 squared. Y squared, y plus 1 squared. Oh boy, it's been a long day. Because again, it's the opposite of whatever you see over there. Squared equals, now it's going to be 49. Because it's our radius, they're actually giving us the value of the radius, and you have to square that in the equation. So here, it would be x plus 5 because the center is at a negative 5 for the x value, and it would be y minus 12 to make the center of the y value of the center be positive. It's opposites. Square your radius. So if you saw a 25 over here, you'd square root that and say, hey, the radius is 5. So we have to do that opposite. Here, you could write x minus 0. Oops, I don't even need parentheses. But you don't need to. So it's just x squared. Same with the y. It's going to be y squared. And then the radius is 8. So we need to square that. That's 64. There is our equation.